So I'm making this video because I take a ton of phone calls every week about FinTech. What is FinTech? How do I get involved with FinTech? What do I need to learn? Where can I learn about it? There's no book about FinTech right now. It's an emerging space that everyone wants to learn about, but there's no one particular place that you need to be studying to say, hey, I'll bone up on FinTech. It reminds me in many ways of the algorithms and how they developed in the early 2000s. If you wanted to learn about algorithms back then, there was no book. I want to say that the Dark Pool books and all those, the Flash Boys, that all came out like almost 10 years later. So the point of the matter is, right now, the best way for you to learn about FinTech and how it's going and the trends and the development and where the space is headed is to talk to people. Those little quick conversations, the beers, the coffees, the chit-chats on LinkedIn, whatever you need to do, but that's how you'll learn about it. And so, with that as a little background, I'm right now reading my kids the Harry Potter books, and we're learning about boggarts. Boggarts remind me of the FinTech space, in that the boggart in Harry Potter was this creature that would become whatever you most feared. It looked like a different thing for each person. And FinTech is that. FinTech, to many people, is alternative data. It is the emerging AI or algorithms or anything having to do with blockchaining, cryptocurrency. There's a gazillion things, and that's all alternative. All of it is FinTech. So what is it really? I'm going to break it down for you right now. In my opinion, FinTech falls into 4 categories. And in order, I'll run you through them. This is the order in which you would want to learn about them, because this is the order in which they are going to develop in the industry, specifically the Wall Street finance space. Number 1, alternative data. Alternative data is things like NASDAQ buying Quandl. There's all these little companies that no one's ever heard of that all they do is focus on how things can get packaged up in data. Meaning, specifically, we'll talk about Twitter. Twitter, I think, is the nascent edge of this whole thing. It's the tip of the spear because that's where sentiment can be found. So there's companies out there you've never heard of, like iSentiment or maybe Data Miner. You might have heard of these guys. There's tons of these shops that all they do is collect and collate Twitter tweets into a sentiment indicator. How do they do that? A lot of it has to do with AI and big data, but the point of the matter is it's a feed. It's a place where you can go to get a feed, a lead, a bead on what Wall Street's about to do, stock specific. So Twitter is an area where right now AI is being focused like a laser beam, and all these firms that you've never heard of are jumping in because there's money to be made. But they're all doing something that will be of interest to some angle of Wall Street. So you've got the alternative data space. It's going to become the new market data. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to call it workflow solution. Workflow solutions would be anything having to do with routing or AI or algo wheel. Or a lot of the stuff, if you know my material, you'll go through my old articles and videos, you'll see that that's a lot of the things I talk about. I really believe that on the forefront of routing is the algo wheel. The algo wheel is nothing more than the transition of control of the routes from the sell side to the buy side. Algo wheel and routing, but specifically wheel, is going to be the future of the workflow solutions focus of the FinTech space. So I believe if you're going to focus on anything, AI is cool, reinforcement learning is cool, it's all great. Algo wheel, that's where you want to focus. Number 3, TCA. TCA used to be a pre, post, and an intra thing, meaning before you would send the order out, you would want some analytics on how this thing, what are the difficult names. While it's trading would be cool to have, but it didn't usually exist, and you're starting to see that now. And post-trade was the main focus. I traded my basket or my list of names or even my individual stock. What was the reversion? What type of algo did I use? Could I have done better? What should I have done? This is now all transitioning into the intra-trade time period. While my order is live, where should I be looking? What do I need to know? How are the venues doing? Are my routes leaking? Is there anything I need to be aware of to help myself in the middle of the trade? So TCA intra-trade is the focus right now. If you got to focus on one area of the TCA section of things, I really think it's going to be the intra-trade. Number 4, blockchain. Blockchain is really interesting, but it's really far in the future. Blockchaining of clearing and settlement is most likely where this will get applied. DTCC is going to be interested in things like this. It's not ready yet. Blockchaining is, as you know, counterparty. It's security of counterparty in transactions. This is an area where it's going to develop, but as of right now, it's not yet ready. I'm not going to touch on crypto because it's in the middle of the meltdown right now, and I don't consider myself a crypto expert. But if you're a currency guy, obviously you're focused on that. I really do believe the 4 focal areas of FinTech right now? Alternative data, workflow solutions, which I'll define as routing and algo wheel, TCA, which I will define as intra-trade, and blockchain, which is really honestly on the way, but not here yet. So give this some thought. And the thing I want to close with, the last piece I'll talk about is going to be opportunity. Opportunity is basically this. In change lies opportunity, and right now things are changing. All of the Wall Street players are under threat. All of the major incumbents in any industry, in anything, finance or otherwise, are under threat. And that's the chance where the little guy comes to the front. And that's got to do with you and your career as well. Are you changing? Are you taking advantage? Because guess what? When this all upending is over, there will be a new order, and it will be for a bit. And in that mix, it's being established now who's going to be the winners and losers. If you're not learning and growing and changing right now, you're losing. I know you know this. It sounds great on paper, but what that means is having conversations. There's no place to learn about blockchain other than right now reading what you can online and talking to the people that are doing it. There's no place to learn about algorithms unless you can read a little bit online and talk to the people that do it. And there's no place to learn about FinTech overall. Get involved in the corners that are of interest to you and chase down the people that are relevant. Because guess what? They're interested in seeing how things are going to develop as well. Everybody's chit-chatting right now. So when you're on the forefront of any industry as things develop, as it was with the internet's development, as it was with the market data development, all these things ride on people and who's shifting where and what firms are good at what and what skill sets are collecting in what area of the business. That's what I'll tell you. So give it some thought, get where you got to go, and chat with the people you think can be of assistance to you.